Hey corn dogs, it's Trucker here again. We're doing another team review. This is the Fiends team that we're going to be looking at. This is probably the best team that a free-to-play player can go after. Most of these tunes are pretty easy to get. As you can see, you actually have a selection of 7 tunes that you can put in a Fiends team. The team that I recommend is Monster Tweety. Monster Tweety makes the team work. So you really need Monster Tweety. Both leprechauns hit hard and have some very good toolkits. I would recommend that you have both of them. Yokai is pretty much expendable, but he is very, very good in this team. He's high damage output, he scrambles buffs, and he can gain a ton of turn meter by defeating teams with some skills. And we'll go over that. But you can replace Yokai with one of the others. That is possible. I mean, the skunk and what is this? The ghost roadrunner. They can equal Yokai's damage output, and they do have a little bit more functionality to them. But Yokai fits in this team really well, and basically, he was the first 7 cosmic star I got, so I put him in the team for that reason. But he is actually replaceable at the high end with some of these other tunes. Um, there's some common misconceptions about this team that you need to understand. Number one, Tweety has this relationship skill, uh, bravery, and that a lot of people overlook because they get into a battle against the Fiends team and they're looking at his skills, and what they don't notice is that this minus 25% chance to gain a taunt. What that means is, at the beginning of the turn, or at the beginning of battle, for every Fiend team, or for every member, or every Fiend or monster member of the team, he applies passively an attack down and piercing down, which means the enemy team starts with 4 attack down and 4 piercing down right off the bat. And he gives the entire enemy team a minus 25% chance to give taunt, or to gain taunt. So they actually have a resistance to taunt. So you can have battles where uh, tunes that start with taunt don't actually get taunt, and that's one of the things that makes this team really, really powerful. Because without if you can take a first turn taunter out of the equation, you can pretty much go after whatever is the most dangerous tune on the other team free. You just get free runs at them because you don't have to deal with the taunt mostly. Now, this is not going to work every time. It used to be 100%. Then they changed it down to 50, and then it got changed down to 25. So it's nowhere near as good as it used to be, but it's still very, very powerful. And this is one of the things that people misunderstand about this team. Monster Tweety actually will stop people from taunting. And it says 25%, but trust me, it's higher than that. He will stop it most times. One of the things that going through the skills to sort of show you why this team is so good. At the start of the battle, he hides everybody, and every time somebody gets hides, they get critical chance up. So your team starts with 5 critical chance up on everybody, and their team starts with attack down and critical chance down, or critical defense down, which means you can deal a lot of damage on the first turn. He also has the morsel. This is something that people they don't understand because it's changed. It's changed a lot, actually. When this tune first came out, this was whenever somebody stole one of your teammates' tunes, it activated this, and it didn't have a cap on it, so it could go off 6-7 times, depending on however many times they stole something from you. That got changed, and then it was he would only do it once per turn, and then they changed it back to every time he steals, and then this has been changed again to where it only activates on your tune's turns. It can happen once per your tune turn, your Toon's turn. So it can happen 3 times without Monster Tweety even getting a turn. It can happen once per each one of your allies' turns. And if your ally steals a buff from the enemy team, this will trigger. So it's changed a couple of times, but basically what this is that stomp that he does. That it's an AOE stomp that hits the entire enemy team. It happens when you steal a buff, and it only happens once per your allies' turns. So it can happen on each one of the leprechauns' turns. It can happen on Yokai's turns. Whenever you guys steal, it can do it once per turn. That is one of the other things that everybody seems to get confused. You can put horns on Monster Tweety so that he taunts out of the gate. I don't know exactly if that's the best way to go about it. When you get to the end game and you are dealing with maxed out Toons, and you're dealing with a maxed out Toon team versus another maxed out Toon team, what you're going to understand, or what you're going to begin to understand, is that debuffs are very, very powerful, and so are buffs. So anytime that you can stack attack downs on enemy Toons, you can really negate most of their damage, because these are percentage based debuffs. So, and they're multiplicative. So it can be 10%, and then another 10%, and then another 10%, and you can really, really, debuff a Toon into non-existence pretty much. He just won't do anything positive. So I always stick them with the, what are these? Iron Jackets. I always stick them with the Iron Jackets, just for the simple fact that I had extra ones laying around, but I had some health ones and defense ones, and I also had a few attack ones, and it just applies attack down to an attacker for 2 turns every time he's hit. So, and then whenever he falls down, he automatically heals 30% max health when he falls down below half health, once per battle, just off the bat. So, I mean, it's a self-passive heal that debuffs the enemy when he gets attacked. So, him getting his taunt, which is a pretty sick taunt in and of itself. He gains taunt. He gets 3 attack up, which is rare for a taunter. He gets some defense up, but he gets sure counter, which means every time he gets hit when he's got this taunt up, he not only debuffs the attacker, but then he turns around and he smacks him. So it's a win-win-win all the way around. It's pretty strong combo. Let's see here. What's this? Is it this one? Yes. This is single target damage that hides the ally with the highest attack. Remember, every time somebody hides, they get critical chance up. So that he is an integral part of the team. You need to have him. The reason that I think the leprechauns are indispensable is, number one, you have Opat. Opat has this skill right here. While this Toon is in battle, each turn a random pot of gold is put on an enemy. It could be any enemy. Whenever a team member hits that enemy, your whole team heals for 20% max health. So this can explain, if you're not paying attention, this explains why this team is so good. It has passive healing that triggers upon damaging a specific enemy. And that is ridiculous, because if your team has high speed, and you are actually going more than the other team is, you're healing a tremendous amount of damage every time that you can hit the person that has the pot of gold on them. And I will show you the pot of gold here in a second. But it's a ridiculous amount of healing. He is indispensable. You really need him on this team. It's nice to get the critical chance up, but the max healing is ridiculous. That's 20% max health, so it's not based on his attack at all. And whenever you do put pom-poms on him, he also heals whenever he attacks a target, period, So he's healing everybody when he attacks, and every time somebody hits the enemy with the pot of gold, they're healing. So there's a ton of built-in passive healing in this team that is really, really nice. Whenever one or more team members gain hidden, inflict all enemies with 4 critical defense down. So remember, at the start of battle, Monster Tweety hides all of his fiend allies. So the other team starts with 4 attack down, 4 critical defense down, these 4 critical defense down, and 4 of another debuff. So they start with a ton of debuffs on them, and then you can just start wailing on them for massive amounts of damage. Whenever a team member lands a critical hit, grant all hidden allies 10% turn meter. It obviously just makes them faster. The faster they are. Oh, and I also want to point this out. You really want to hit Porkies with this guy. If you're fighting a team that has Porkies, like Super Pig, you want to hit him with Opat. Opat does way more damage to him than anybody else. So always remember that these nemesis skills are a thing, and they are ridiculously powerful, probably overpowered. So make sure that you go after Porky Pig Tunes with his regular attack. Oh Mike, I'm just going to sum up as one of the best single target hitters in the game. He is ridiculously good when it comes to just trying to take out a single target. This Rainbow's End skill is ridiculous. This is 7,000 damage, and this is not including all of his critical attack ups and attack ups that he's going to have from all of the buffs that he's going to be given at the beginning of the battle. And he gains hidden before he uses it, so he gets even more buffs to target the enemy, and then he inflicts 4 defense down for 2 turns for each hidden team member. So you could pretty easily put 16 defense downs on somebody, and that will completely destroy most taunters. It's ridiculously powerful. So I believe that you really need to have him in there too. Now, at the beginning of this turn, this tune's turn, he puts a pot of gold on too. But whenever you hit that pot of gold, you get 20% turn meter and critical damage up, which speeds up the entire team if they keep hitting this same person. So this is probably one of the least impressive skills that this team has, and this is still really good, which shows you how good this team is. Whenever a team member loses hidden, you get critical chance up and cleanse them of 3 debuffs, which is big because it can actually cleanse damage over time, which is one of the few skills that will do this passively. So with team members constantly being hidden and unhidden and hidden and unhidden, they're getting a steady flow of critical chance ups and attack ups, and it just makes them very, very good offensively. While this tune is in battle, Fiend team members have 100% tenacity. Self-explanatory, which means all of these debuffs are actually going to go through most of the time. And he also has a nemesis skill with Porky Pig, so make sure you target them Porkies first, because obviously if you can one-shot a Porky, it's a lot easier to battle 4 versus 3 than 4 versus 4. So I just have regular purple boxing gloves on him, and he still one-shots people. And his basic is still pretty good too. And his basic steals 2 special stat ups. Now you got to remember, this is special stat ups. So this isn't going to steal an attack up or a defense up. It's only going to steal like critical chance up. So obviously stealing a stat will trigger Monster Tweety to do an AoE on the entire team. So that's it. Like I said, I think those 2 are indispensable. When you have Monster Tweety and both of the leprechauns on the field, the leprechauns become very difficult to hit, and the leprechauns can completely destroy the other team. So it's a fantastic team, and like I said, for free-to-play players, this is probably one of the best teams in the game that you can go after. These tunes are not hard to get. You can, I believe you can farm 3 of the 4. And Monster Tweety constantly has his path to Monster Tweety coming through, so that you can get tune pieces to get him. So he's probably one of the easier legendaries to get. When he comes over to Yokai, Yokai is ridiculous. As you can see, I still only have purple gadgets on him. This skill right here is stupid. Deals a massive amount of damage to the enemy with a 50% critical chance. So this is going to crit most times, because you're going to have critical chance up on you anyway from all the other buffs from the team. So this is going to crit most of the time. And if it defeats the target, it gains 50% turn meter. And that's worth noting because, well, if you put, what are these, punching sticks? Boxing sticks. When you put boxing sticks on an attacker, which is what he is, one of the boxing sticks, if it's an attacker, he also gains 50% turn meter whenever this tune defeats an enemy. If you can defeat an enemy with the tornado, you can gain 100% turn meter. These do stack, which means that this tune can actually go 2 times in a row. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that. So this is very powerful. This is one of the reasons why I use Yokai over Phantom and why I use him over the Ghost Roadrunner, is because he gains so much turn meter all the time. He's constantly going, and he is a really good attacker. He is high damage. He does have a rivalry skill with heroes, so anytime that you're fighting a hero team, he's going to get even stronger. While this tune is in battle, your team has plus 50% critical damage, which is why these crit numbers get out of control with this team. And monsters have an extra 20% and keep the effect permanently, which means, what this means is when Yokai dies, they keep these buffs for the rest of the battle. So taking out Yokai isn't going to take this buff away. They keep the buff even if he dies. Whenever a team member lands a critical hit, gain 15% turn meter. It's just more turn meter. It's really a damage output that's hard. It's hard to sustain, and at the same point in time, you got to remember, most of the time they're going to heal every time they hit. So they're super fast. They hit really hard, and they heal while they hit passively, which is what makes this team so good. This team, you're never going to regret getting this team topped out. It's just a really good team. This is one of the few teams that is so good that it can actually defend really well in Alliance Wars. It's one of the best defense teams out there too. Just because it doesn't matter that the AI screws up, it does trigger Monster Tweety's AoE slam a lot. It prioritizes stealing buffs and going in and out of hiding. So the AI does play this team very well. And to be honest with you, you don't have to be a very good pilot to win successfully with this team, because of the tremendous amount of damage it deals and all of the healing that it does. It's the easiest team to pilot. That's just all there is to it. There's not a whole lot more to say to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and let's see if we can actually find somebody decent to fight. I guess this will do. Oh crap. This is what happens when you click on buttons too fast. But I'm going to go into the battle. I'm going to show you the pot of gold and basically what you're trying to do with the team. Let's get rid of these guys. And as you can see, they're my second labeled team, so I think pretty highly of them. When this team actually came out, I didn't actually pay a whole lot of attention to it. I didn't think it was uh, I didn't think it was a very good team because of the way that the skills were worded, and um, Mike or Opat wasn't in the game yet, and Yokai did not get his buff yet. He had a big stat buff actually about a year and a half, 2 years ago, which is what made him what he is today. But as you can see, the beginning of the battle, he hides all the other team members. Look at all of these debuffs. This is ridiculous. This four-leaf clover here, that's the pot of gold. What happens is you hit the guy with the pot of gold, and you heal. You saw the heal. And remember, whenever you're attacking with the leprechauns, you want to sort of prioritize pigs. And look at that, 33,800 damage. And the pot of gold buff will move, and you can also scramble it with this. The scrambling, what that does is that takes all the buffs and moves them around, and that is considered a buff. It will scramble it and move it around. Whenever you have this many debuffs on your enemy team, you got to get kind of lucky to scramble the pot of gold, but you can scramble the pot of gold. And there's I think it's one of Omike's skills will also scramble, or Opat's skills. One of Opat's skills will also scramble buffs, so that if somebody does have taunt on them, you can move the taunt around to less tanky tunes so that you can take them out. But let's see here, we got 100% turn meter. If we kill a tune, we get 50% turn meter, and our gear gives us 50% turn meter, so we should excuse me, kill him, and voila, we have 100% turn meter. He goes again. Boom. This team's good. This team is really good. You really, really, really want to get concentrate on this team and get this team up if you're a free-to-play player, because this team is not hard to get your hands on. It's not. And it's an extremely good team. And it's really good attacking, but you can also use it to defend in Alliance Wars, and you'd be surprised at how good it actually how well it performs. It's a team that you will not ever regret spending resources on. I promise you that. And with that being said, that's the end of this team review. And I'll see you in chat. If you have any questions or anything, just leave me a message in chat, and I'll see what I can do. Y'all have a great day. Bye.